Are you feeling like your life is falling apart or unraveling even more lately than usual? Then this is for you. You don't want to miss this video because we're going to be going into the Dark Night of the Soul 2.0. Welcome back to the Uncaged Mindset Podcast, everyone. I am Charles Chudbala, and today we are going to be talking about what many are calling the Dark Night of the Soul 2.0, or maybe a harder, more hardcore spiritual awakening process that is specific for 2025. And if many of you have been feeling like the work that you have done lately has taken several steps back, or that somehow in 2025 you're feeling like you're spinning your wheels and maybe getting an inch further, but then getting knocked back down, or a lot of your old issues are coming back right now, you are not alone. And in this episode today, we're going to be going over a review of the Dark Night of the Soul, first of all, and why this might be actually happening right now. I'll be maybe talking about some of the signs that you might be going through it right now to indicate that you are actually going through the Dark Night of the Soul 2.0, and how you can move through it with grace. I'll be sharing some of the spiritual tools and things that have helped me in my journey right now to make it a little bit lighter for me, as well as maybe offering some tools and suggestions for you all. But please make sure that, if you are enjoying this content, please hit that subscribe button and share this message with more people who could use a spiritual boost right now, who can use some support as we're all going through this major shift right now. Okay. And also, we're a community, so share with each other any tools that are helping you right now as we go through this video, things that may pop up for you that you want to share with the community and members of, just other members of the community, light workers as you all are. And if you're confused, if you're a light worker, if you're watching this right now, listening to this episode, chances are you're a light worker. Chances are you're an empath. Okay, with that being said, you are not broken, you are becoming. Okay, I'm gonna repeat that one more time. Take notes if you want. You are not broken, you are becoming, okay? I'm gonna be repeating that again and again in this episode because that is the theme that I'm getting right now. That is the message that I want you all to know and to remember. Many of you have already remembered that and or have forgotten that, and here is to remember your remembrance of that. And yeah, so this Dark Night of the Soul process, which is almost like a reconstruction of your life, old paradigms, old belief systems, and your identity, right? Who you thought you were, goes through a metamorphosis very similar to a spiritual awakening, which is part of the spiritual awakening process, is going through this dark night of the soul. A rediscovering of yourself, shedding old belief systems and shedding who you were, right? It can be extremely painful because just like a caterpillar goes through this metamorphosis into a beautiful butterfly, and people love to talk about that beautiful butterfly, and it's just, oh my gosh, you're able to fly now, and it's lovely, and it's true. That is what we go through. But the process is quite gruesome for that caterpillar. Right? The structure, the vertebra or vertebrae, it gets liquefied. Like their entire body gets liquefied, and it's pretty gnarly. Okay? This is all necessary. Everything is just broken down into this other form so that the form can form itself into another form, formulaically, and so that we can experience ourselves anew and transformed, right? So I wish I could tell you that this process is always easy, or that there is, it's always rainbows and butterflies. There's the butterfly again, but it is not, right? This is, this can be a very scary time, right? And it can also feel like you're finding your footing, but you don't know where your footing is because in stepping into the new, and that's one thing that we know for sure, guaranteed in this lifetime, is that things will always be anew and changing, right? It's one thing we know for sure. All right, but you have to find your footing again. It isn't back there. That's where the back there was. There is no more there, right? There's only forward, right? But sometimes the stepping stone is in a new spot. Or your legs are operating in a different way, in a different capacity, hopefully stronger, usually stronger. And that's part of the dark night of the soul, is that you are understanding that you are now stepping into a newer, more powerful version of yourself, should you choose to learn the lesson associated with this dark night of the soul. Okay? Now, this episode is about 2025. Okay? I've done videos about this before, done episodes about the dark night of the soul before, this spiritual awakening journey. This is different because what we are going through right now is more intense. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about why that might be, okay? And as always, use your discernment. I am a channel, one channel, one messenger giving you knowledge that I have or that that has resonated with me, but always use your own discernment and go with what resonates for you, okay? And some of you in the spiritual space have been hearing for a long time that there has been a major shift happening in 2025, specifically in this new year. And I don't know about you, but I've seen it. I've seen and felt around me major shifts and changes in ideas. We've had changes politically. We've had changes climate-wise, geographically. And all around me, in almost every one of my friend groups, family members, and just close people in my life, including my community, my spiritual community as well, have been going through major changes, shifts, unlike anything they've ever experienced before, to an intense degree, all right? So one thing that I want to raise is the full moon in Taurus. Okay, and the full moon in Taurus, which was in May, I believe it was in May, so we just crossed that, May 2025, it brings up a lot of our old issues and a lot of our old wounds and a lot of things that we thought we were working on or we had already moved past. It's almost like the universe is reminding us again from a different lens. Right? So remember, every time you learn a lesson, it comes back in a different way. It never comes back in the same way. Okay, when we're all here with our soul contracts to learn a specific lesson, if we don't learn the lesson the first time, it comes back in another way, and sometimes more intensely. So we want to not have to go through it that many times to learn the lesson. But there is power in being able to talk about it, and there's hope in being able to talk about with people that understand and who are going through it, in the same frequency as you are, or very aligned with you, right? So Taurus really did provide an opportunity, or this full moon in Taurus provided a lot of opportunities between April and May for people to do a lot of self-reflection. Very similar in some ways, but not the same as Mercury retrograde. Because this one felt for me, I don't know about you, it was just something I couldn't ignore anymore. It was like, okay, I can normally negotiate with my higher self and source and say, okay, I'll work on that later. Thank you so much for the message. I got it. But this was literally just constantly, hello, I'm here. I'm here. And it was in my face, constantly showing up. And that was a very similar experience for a lot of my friend groups too, and people that I know who are experiencing it's just resurgence, and just it was like not even just visiting to say hi. It's like, no, we're gonna deal with this right now, right? And we're gonna send you text messages from people that you haven't talked to in 15 years. We're gonna send you phone calls from people that you haven't talked to in 15 years. We're gonna show you reminders of that thing that you thought you apologized for to yourself, that you forgave yourself for, and we're going to bring it back up again in another form, right? That old boss that you ran away from, well, now they're here, but in a new form, as another boss. And it's like, oh gosh, it's the same issue. So full moon in Taurus for sure in 2025 has been more, an intense reminder of the things that we're all working on. Okay. And I also think that part of the reason that we're seeing a lot of this intensity right now is we're getting ready to ascend even further, right? There's a lot of energetic shifts happening. And one sign for those of you who are awakened, and if you're listening to this, then you probably are, there's been a lot more disclosure happening lately, right? UFOs, right? They call them the UFOs, right? Members of the galactic showing up, right? In our mainstream. Whistleblowers in the mainstream, trying to expose what's happening. There's been a lot of sightings. And just so you know, anytime there are crafts or vehicles, right? Vehicles from our galactic brothers and sisters that show up, right? And they're not our governments. They're our our galactic brothers and sisters who are showing up. It's because they are allowing it to show up, right? This is not accidental. It's all like on purpose. Okay. And I've been channeling this message and I've been getting it very, very, very clear that in 2025, there has been portals open for those who are ready to step over, who are ready to shift to a new timeline. Should they choose to shift into a new timeline, they can, right? So what does that mean? Does it mean that that your slate is wiped clean? I think, some might believe that, but I believe that we're presented with a lot of opportunities right now to ascend to our highest, clearest, brightest potential right now, even more so. And remember, you signed up for this, right? It's not a bad thing. You signed up for this. You signed up for this lifetime to be a huge and beautiful part of your spiritual journey and awakening, to try it anew and to ascend further, right? So if this feels like it's a harder year than usual, it's because as a collective, we all agreed together to come into this lifetime and ascend together, right? So that is why it's happening in the collective right now. That's why you want to go vent to a friend or family member about what you're going through, and they're venting back to you because they're going through the same thing, right? By the way, you don't have to have all the answers, and you don't got to rescue anybody. That's a big misconception in the light worker healing spaces, that we're supposed to rescue each other all the time, and for some of us, we're healing that, right? It can be helpful. But I say all of that because no one else is going to have your map of what you've got to do to get to your North Star. North Star actually came up today with my soul brother. He was talking about the North Star, and it really, really resonated with me because I felt like that was a channel message from him, that we're all looking for our North Star right now, and it's there. We just have to recalibrate back to it. So thank you, soul brother. Thank you for that message, sharing it here today. So there is a lot of disclosure happening right now, and we are ready to ascend. I think that, rather than look at these challenges as a bad thing, or the intensity as a bad thing, we can look at it as in a positive way, that like, okay, we are ready, and if you weren't ready for it, it wouldn't be showing up and presented to you in this way. Okay. Now, does that mean that it's touching everybody and hitting everyone and impacting everyone equally? Not necessarily in the same way. And I want to say this, I want to be careful how I say this, right? I do believe that this is playing in the background in 2025, but for those who are awakened, we're the ones feeling it the most, right? Because we've got that awareness that on a conscious level and on a spiritual level that we're ready to take the next steps forward. For those who are choosing to remain in their old timeline and or remain in their old patterns and belief systems where they're comfortable, they may feel a tinge, but not in the way of having to reevaluate and change the trajectory of their life, and that being an uncomfortable conflict for them, right? We are closer to our higher selves now. We're taking steps forward, and as we do that, you can't unknow what you know and the lessons that you have to know them in order to move forward, all right? Okay, so with that said, those are a few explanations that I have. Comment below if that resonates with you. And comment below also if you have experienced or have some messages about the energetic shifts right now in 2025. I won't be going over any prophetic predictions in 2025. We still have 7 months left, I think, of the year. 7 or 8 months, something like that, left in 2025. But that could be another episode. And perhaps I bring in, some channelers that I trust onto my podcast to be able to talk about what they are foreseeing for the rest of 2025, because things are ramping up. Okay, there's going to be a lot more disclosures. There's going to be a lot more things. This is not the episode for that because we always want to be vigilant and prepared. Okay, but that made me think about that as you are vigilant and you are aware, you will be able to really safeguard yourself as you move through on your path of self-awareness and knowing and ascension. All right, so how do we move through this with grace? Okay, how do we navigate this? Okay, this is the part of the episode where I share some spiritual tools. Some of this you probably have already heard before many times. And for those of you who are brand new, you can add this to your toolkit. Okay, use what's helpful, leave the rest behind. All right, so I don't know why I have put this on the list last, and I've noticed this about myself when I am offering recommendations or a list of things to do to neutralize the energy. But this one ends up being close to the bottom of the list, and it should be first. Okay, what am I talking about? Grounding in nature. Thank you, Source. Thank you for guiding me on that. Thank you for correcting me. And thank you for letting me know, Source, God, higher self, Holy Spirit, whatever word you want to use, definitely has guided me to say, come on, Charles, you know it's number one. Yes. So if you have the ability, if you have the privilege to be next to nature, if you're lucky enough to live close to nature, close to a beach, close to a nature path, a trail, close to the mountains, snow, or even a garden in your backyard or somewhere, if you have the opportunity to place your feet on the ground, okay, this is not a thinking thing. Okay, I'm going to change the script on you. First of all, I want to tell you this is so powerful that if you were to do nothing else in your spiritual path, I know people can fight me on this. As you go down the path, there's so many different meditations and so many different retreats and so many different things to incorporate, right? But if you were to do nothing else on your path, no extra learning, no classes, no group meditations, no whatever, and you were just to spend some time in nature, a world of alignment, spiritual alignment will open up for you, will be in congruence for you. Don't believe me? Try it. You don't have to believe me. You don't have to believe me, just try it, right? Getting grounded, and I actually mean getting grounded. That means taking off your shoes, taking off your socks, and letting your feet be barefoot in the ground, okay? Of course, if it's 100 degrees out there, be really careful about that. Maybe you don't try this on the cement, but on sand or the soil, taking your bare hands and touching the trees, touching water from the ocean if you've got access, okay? The fastest way to raise your vibration to the highest frequency of unconditional love and higher, of Christ consciousness, is nature. 100,000%. Okay, now this is not a thinking thing. This is a feeling thing. Okay? Once I finally learned that, everything changed for me. And I still can be an overthinker sometimes. But when I'm suggesting the nature and grounding for you, right? This could be even 5 minutes. It doesn't have to be long. Better if it can be. I'm not suggesting that you take all of your woes, your anxieties, your doubts, and your fears and process them in nature. Okay? I'm not suggesting that. All right? Because allowing Mother Gaia and Christ consciousness and nature to do its thing is simply allowing. It's releasing. Right? When you're releasing, you're releasing. Okay? You're not having a conversation with nature about how hard the last month has been. You're going to release. Right? So now, that's not to say it's a bad thing if you do that. It's okay. You got to start somewhere. But this is a total release. It's a present to yourself. This is a gift to yourself. Okay? And this is necessary to neutralize and balance this dark night of the soul 2.0 in 2025. Okay? All right. So comment below if you have any questions about that. Comment below how you ground in nature. And number two is, I think I'm going to go with journaling for this one. I had a few things on my list, but journaling is a great way to process your feelings, your thoughts, okay, about the lessons that you're learning right now, about maybe your fears, about what's next, okay? But on the other side of the page, I'm going to challenge you as a prompt to imagine yourself on the other side of this dark night of the soul 2.0. Imagining yourself connecting with your higher self. And how is your higher self existing, navigating the dark night of the soul 2.0, right? On the other side of that. So, yeah, and writing that down, letting yourself, allowing yourself that time to just jot it down, write it down, all of it. If you can set aside 3 days in advance, 2 days in advance is good, but 3 days in advance, calling in your angels, calling in your archangels, your spirit guides, your team, to be with you on the day that you journal in advance, giving them some notice, it's gonna create this beautiful synchronicity and this teamwork and this collaboration with Source when you're journaling, and you're gonna get insight into the answers that you seek that is for balance. Okay? And the last thing I'm gonna leave you with here today, as a spiritual tool in 2025 is, never mind. We're going to do an affirmation. Okay, cool. I had some more, but Source is like, no, we got to move on to affirmations now. Okay, cool. That's enough, right? You already have your tools in your toolkit, and I want you to go back and review your tools that you've used before. Some of them still work now, but maybe you got to go in deeper with those tools, okay? I want to end this episode today with some positive affirmations, some magical affirmations that you can use, some powerful affirmations as we go through the dark night of the soul 2.0 together, okay? Together. You are not broken. All right, you're just beginning, okay? You're becoming. I said that earlier in the episode. I'm going to say it again. All right. So share this affirmation with somebody that who can use this affirmation today. And just want you to close your eyes, feel into the energy of your power, okay? Feel into the energy of truth, right? And the first affirmation is, I choose to know the truth. I love the truth, okay? I choose to know the truth. I love the truth. I'm going to repeat it one more time. I choose to know the truth. I love the truth. And our last affirmation today, take a deep breath. Exhale. I trust that this unraveling is revealing the truth of who I am. One more time. I trust that this unraveling is revealing the truth of who I am. Okay? These are powerful affirmations. Okay? And as a disclaimer, when you use affirmations that are connected and aligned with truth, be prepared for the truth to reveal itself. Okay? Remember, the truth is only revealing itself because your higher self is asking it to, right? That's the higher aspect of you that is on this journey for growth and for alignment and for ascension, okay? Now, you don't have to fear the truth, right? Because the truth is all about becoming who you are. And remember, my brothers and sisters, as we just wrap up this episode today, The Dark Night of the Soul 2.0, remember, you're not alone. We're all in this together. Okay? That is the truth. What is your truth today? How does this truth resonate with your truth? Please comment below. Share this episode with someone who can use some hope, some guidance for this Dark Night of the Soul 2.0 in 2025. And remember, you are not broken, you are becoming. Take care, everyone. Be well on your journey with love and light.